Yeah, it was a unique situation. I mean, I was in Haiti again. I spent probably about a month there straight, and in the wake of the earthquake, we were the first team on the ground. After the earthquake, the first foreign team on the ground. Obviously, there were Haitian journalists there during the earthquake, and we were able to get in just by sheer luck, really, very very early on. Um, and I don't know, a couple days into it, there was food obviously was a real issue for a lot of people, and some people had broken into a local store in downtown Port-au-Prince, and we were there. And then it started out as, I think it was actually candles people were taking, but people just needed whatever they could get. Um, and it started out as a number of women there, and then gradually, as often happens, young men started to show up, and then they started to kind of take over the scene and take over the store and push other people out. And it ended up, the vibe of the whole thing started to change. Like some young guys with like knives started to show up and threaten people, and it was really unusual because I was there with my cameraman and producer, and we were we were shooting all during this, and I was narrating to camera what was happening. We weren't live on television, but I was narrating it for because I thought, okay, this is the story we're going to tell. This is one of the stories we're going to tell today about this particular incident. We're going to kind of dissect what's happening here because it tells a larger story about what people are going through. And there were people being whipped with chains and stuff right next to where we were, but sometimes crowds turn on you. In this case, it was almost like we were invisible. It was really strange. I mean, I'm very aware of, when things turn and when it's time to leave, or when people are doing something because the camera's there, and then it's time to leave also. But in this case, it really felt like we were invisible. It was almost like, like you weren't there. Like it could all people could walk right through you. It was a very strange thing. And I think it was because there was such desperation that you were just an afterthought. If they weren't thinking about you. I mean, this was such a kind of a life or death thing. And anyway, some young guys had taken over the top of the building, and a kid took a concrete block, a cement block, and tossed it into the crowd, and it hit a little boy on the head, and he was probably, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old. And the whole crowd just everyone ran away, and this little kid, blood was just gushing out of his head, and his eyes were rolling back in his head, and he collapsed on the ground, and then he got up again. He tried to get up, and he collapsed again. He was totally out of it, and I mean, everybody just disappeared, and I thought they were going to throw another brick onto this kid, and I started run. I had my camera in my hand, and I started to run toward him to take video of it. I mean, that was my first instinct, because I thought this is a horrific image and this is part of what's happening. And I took, 2 steps running toward him, and then I thought, this is, what am I doing? Like I'm gonna videotape this kid like while his blood is gushing out of his head, and I'm just gonna sit there videotaping him. And it just seemed, in a split second, it just seemed inappropriate, and also it just seemed inappropriate, and so I just kept running. I just kept running toward him, and I just grabbed him and put him under my arm and ran, I don't know, 50 feet or 60 feet, whatever, to a barricade that had been set up by other people. And actually, I set him down at one point, and I was trying to talk to him, and his eyes were still rolling back in his head, and his blood was gushing down his face, and his blood was all over my arm and my shirt. And then I just picked him up again, and I put him over the barricade, and another passerby grabbed him and took him away, and that was really it. And then I was faced with, okay, do we incorporate this into the story of what happened on this day in this riots? Because and I thought, well, if we don't incorporate it in and the pictures get out, then it looks like I'm trying to hide something, like that I've been caught helping somebody and I'm trying to hide it. So do we then put it in the story and just acknowledge, what, this happened and I did this, and that's it, and not make a big deal of it? And that's what we decided to do. We decided, what, we're telling a story about what happened, and this actually happened, and good or bad, right decision or wrong decision, I shouldn't pretend like it didn't happen, and I shouldn't hide it because there's nothing I feel guilty about. And so I incorporated it into the story. And then there was criticism about it that I'd crossed a line, that I had, gotten involved in something that I shouldn't have. And I get, look, I get the criticism. It's, kind of an age-old journalism debate. And I certainly get the criticism. But I'd do it again, and it wasn't something I thought a lot about. It wasn't even something I didn't realize my cameraman was rolling on me at that time, because I had been separated from him. I certainly didn't know the still photographer had taken pictures of it. And I see the pictures now, and I mean, they're very dramatic, and and I don't know what happened to the kid. I don't know his name, but I think about it, to this day.